If you are a freelance web designer who always feels guilty or like an imposter every time you quote a price, this video is for you. And stay with me because somewhere in the video I will show you 3 pro tips that I personally use that can make you a lot of money. The thing is, most designers don't have a pricing problem. They have a confidence problem, but we'll fix that. The problem is they charge random numbers, hoping the client says yes, and then they feel like they are making it up as they go. Sounds familiar? I did that for years and it kept me broke. Now I charge what I'm worth, clients respect it, and I'm gonna show you how to do the same. The biggest mistake most freelance web designers make is thinking that pricing is about time. They say something like, this will take me 10 hours, so I will charge $50 an hour. But clients don't really care about how long it takes you, they care about the result. So what you have to do basically is, instead of pricing by time, price by value. You have to always think, what is this project worth to the client's business? For example, if you are designing a landing page that helps them generate serious revenue, is it really worth just a few $100s? No, because it's not about the hours you put in, it's about the value. Before we go further, let's break down the 4 main ways you can charge for web design. Because the thing is, most freelancers mix this up or don't even know all their options. The first one is the popular hourly rate. And this is when you charge per hour of work. For example, $75 per hour. And it has some pros, it's simple, flexible, and easy to track. But it also has some cons. And this one is huge. It penalizes you for being fast. So basically, the better you get, the less you earn per project. So hourly rate is best for small tasks, maintenance work, or clients who want detailed time tracking. Usually smaller companies or for projects that don't have a clear scope. The second one is day rate, and I like this one, but it has some cons as well. And with the day rate, you charge per full working day, usually 6 to 8 hours. For example, $500 per day. And the pros are that it's easier to estimate than hourly, and clients like the simplicity. However, it's still tied to time and not value. And this one is best for larger companies or agencies that budget by day, short-term contracts or workshops. I worked on a large project for Amazon and they paid me $600 per day, which was great. And some days I work more, some days less, but it was great because in the contract it said that it was like a retainer, okay? So, some days maybe I work like 1 hour or 2 hours. Even if I work 10 minutes, I would be paid $600, but that was in the contract, okay? So you always have to make sure you check. The third one is fixed rate, and this one is great, but it also has some cons. Basically, it's one price for the entire project, no matter how long it takes, okay? For example, $3,000 for a 5-page website. Here are the pros. It rewards efficiency, so the faster you are, the better. It's very clear for the client, and you can charge based on value, not hours. But here's the thing. If the scope creeps, you can lose money and time unless you manage it well. Scope creep is basically when the client keeps asking for revisions and new stuff after the project is finished. And if you are not careful with that, it can turn into a nightmare. So always make sure that the scope is clear and reflected in the contract. And it's best for most freelance projects with clear deliverables, and usually for small to mid-sized clients. And the next one is hybrid, and this one is my favorite one. And it's a combination, okay? Maybe a base fee plus hourly for revisions or a monthly retainer for ongoing work. For example, $5,000 for the website, then a $2,000 per month retainer for up to 20 hours of support and design work. Here are some of the pros: predictable income thanks to the retainer, and long-term client relationships. And this is great. I had a client pay me $2,000 per month for a project, and it was great because I always knew that at the end of the month, I would receive $2,000. It's great for stability. The main con is that it requires clear boundaries, okay? Or clients may abuse your time. So make sure all boundaries are clear in the contract. And this pricing type is best for ongoing partnerships, agencies, or clients who need regular design support. So here are your 4 main options, but here's the key. You are not locked into one. For example, you can charge hourly for one client, fixed for another, and retainer for a third. So the key is basically knowing which structure fits which client and which project type. And that's exactly what I'm about to show you. I will give you 3 pro tips. Pro tip number 1, here's what most freelancers get backwards. I personally charge more per hour than I do by day rate or per project. Why? Because hourly rates punish speed and efficiency. And the logic is, if I can finish in 5 hours what takes others 10, I shouldn't earn less for being good at my job. So I set my hourly rate higher than what my project or day rate averages out to. As I mentioned before, usually small businesses and small agencies prefer fixed price because they want to know the total cost upfront. Bigger companies with bigger budgets are often fine with hourly or daily rates because that's how they already structure their work. So the key is to be flexible and to know which clients prefer which structure. Pro tip number 2, don't just give one price, okay? It's better to give 3. Here is an example: basic, growth, and premium. The basic tier could be simple one-page design, all the basic essentials, no animations. The growth tier could be full custom site, animations, SEO setup, optimized for conversions. The premium tier could be everything in growth plus 3 months of post-launch consulting. And the thing is, like, when you only show one number, clients have nothing to compare it to, and they will usually push back, especially if they have a tight budget. But when you show 3 packages at that specific moment, they compare you to yourself, not somebody else. With this approach, they will be thinking about which one fits them best, not whether you are too expensive. You are basically guiding the decision, not trying to justify your rate. Before I show you how to present these prices, let me explain about the psychology that makes this work. If there is a little price difference between the growth tier and the premium tier, most people will choose the premium one. If there is a big price difference, so the premium price is very high, most people will choose the growth one. And that's called price anchoring. And it's one of the most powerful tools in negotiation. And this is not about manipulation or tricking people. This is basically how pricing works almost everywhere. There are mainly 2 types of anchoring. One called contrast or value anchoring, and the other one called high or premium anchoring. Let's start with the first one. So contrast or value anchoring. So basically, when you go to the movies or a basketball game or a football game, they have different sizes of popcorn. Usually they have the small one, the medium one, and then the large one. And usually the price difference is very small. So basically the small one is $8, for example, and then the medium one $9, and then the large one $10. So there is only $1 difference between the different sizes. So if someone wants popcorn, they're gonna most likely buy the large one, right? Because obviously it's the best value for the price. And sometimes they will even throw in a free cup of soda or something to make the choice more obvious and compelling. And what if somebody wants the small one? That's perfect, because that's basically more profit for them. However, if they only see one option, so let's say the small one for $8, a lot of people won't buy, right? Because they would think that this is too expensive. So in this case, for contrast or value anchoring, it's always best to have 3 options and make the largest one the best value. If you want to apply contrast or value anchoring in your freelance business, you have to make sure that the most valuable package is the premium one, okay? But then the price difference between these 3 should be very small. All right, so here's an example of contrast or value anchoring applied to freelance web design. So let's say the basic tier is $2,500, and then we have the growth tier for $3,000, and then the premium tier for $3,500. So basically increments of $500, okay, which is good. All right, for a business, $500 is good. It's not that much, especially for a business that wants to invest into something valuable like a website. But obviously this is not an impulse buy like the popcorn, right? But the psychology behind it is the same. And you can also add a breakdown of the value, something like this. So 1 hour consulting session, $100, 1 session per week. So 3 months equals 12 sessions, and $100 per 12 is $1,200, saving a total of $700, which is great. Imagine telling your prospect you invest only $500 more, get $1,200 worth of value, and save $700 in the process. All right, so now you know about contrast or value anchoring. It's time to explore high or premium anchoring. So here is an example. When you try to book a plane ticket, usually you have 3 classes: economy, business class, and then first class. You can have economy comfort and premium and all these things, but I want to make this example simple. As we can see here, the price gap between economy and business class is reasonable, but then between business class and first class is super large. And here's the thing. Airlines use high anchoring to make their business class seats more appealing and profitable, okay? Because economy tickets are sold in large numbers and they have to compete with other airlines and all these things. So basically, economy tickets bring the least profit because prices are low and they mainly use it to cover costs. Business class, on the other hand, offers much more higher margins and is where airlines make most of their profit. And to make business class seem like a smart upgrade, airlines introduce an even more expensive option, first class. Even though few people actually buy first class, its high price makes business class look affordable in comparison. This is basically the perfect example of high anchoring in action. And here's an example applied to web design. So basically we have the 3 tiers as we had before, okay? But in this case, we have $2,000, $4,000, and then $12,000. Let me explain what's happening here. The premium package is intentionally priced much higher, right? So it's $12,000 compared to $4,000 for growth. Most prospects won't choose premium, okay? And that's the point, because premium sets a new reference point for value. It basically acts as a high anchor, changing how prospects judge the other prices. Without premium, a prospect might think that $4,000 for the website is too expensive. But when they see premium at $12,000, suddenly $4,000 doesn't feel that expensive anymore. It feels like the smart middle choice. Basically, the high anchor shifts their perception. Now, premium isn't expensive just for the sake of being expensive, okay? As we can see, it genuinely delivers far more value. But it still acts as a high anchor because seeing a $12,000 option shifts how prospects think about pricing. That's the power of high anchoring, guiding your prospect toward your most profitable offer by giving them expensive context. But remember, always make sure you are offering and delivering real value. All right, pro tip number 3, don't lower your price. Pay attention because here is where most freelancers start losing deals. They say the price and then immediately start justifying it. When you say your price, just say it clearly and then stay quiet. For example, the website package is $3,000. Then stop talking. Okay? There might be a little bit of awkward silence in the middle, but don't try to fill the silence. The silence is where the prospect processes whether they can afford it. If you jump in, you are negotiating against yourself. So you confidently say your price, you keep quiet, and then you let your prospect react. It's very important that you practice this because the silence right here is pure gold. And as I said before, sometimes the silence will feel awkward and uncomfortable because the prospect may stay quiet for a few seconds and you will have the urge to speak. Don't. And if after the silence and everything the prospect hesitates, you can say something like this. Got it. For the basic package, you would get a simple one-page design. For the growth package, a fully custom website built to convert. And then here, as we saw before, you can add more value and benefits. And then you can continue with which one aligns better with your goals. And then you stay quiet again and wait for the prospect to respond. That basically turns pressure into collaboration, and you are helping them decide, not defending your rate. And here's a very common mistake freelance web designers make. They quote a price, the prospect says yes immediately, and they think, great. Wrong. If they say yes that fast or they react like, yeah, for sure, let's do it, you are probably undercharging. Usually you should get a little pushback on price. That means that you are at the edge of their budget, and that's exactly where you want to be. And remember that pushback is not rejection, okay? It's negotiation. And when they are negotiating, that means that they are interested. If you still lost in terms of pricing and stuff like that, use this simple formula. So your day rate multiplied by estimated days plus 20% for revisions plus 10% as a buffer, and then you get your project-based price. Now, this is a time-based formula, okay? Eventually, you will want to move toward value-based pricing, as I said before. Basically, charging based on what the project is worth to the client's business and not your time. But when you are just starting out, this formula gives you a solid foundation. Now, you might be asking, okay, but what's my day rate? Basically, you decide how much you'd like to make per month, let's say $4,000. And then you divide that by how many days you actually work in a month, usually 20 days. So 4,000 divided by 20, that's $200 per day. As you gain confidence, you will raise it to match your skill, demand, and results. All right, so here is a quick recap on how I use the different pricing models. For smaller tasks, maintenance work, or clients who want detailed time tracking, I use hourly rate. For larger companies or agencies that budget by day and short-term contracts or workshops, I use daily rate. For most freelance projects with clear deliverables and small to mid-sized clients, I use fixed rate. And then finally, for ongoing partnerships, agencies, or clients who need regular design support, I use hybrid rate. So always remember, pricing is not about guessing, it's psychology. And if you want to go deeper on the mindset behind confident pricing, watch my video on how an FBI negotiation book helped me hit $10,000 months. That video covers the mental game. This one covers the tactics. Together, you will never undercharge again. You will find the link in the description. And if you are interested in joining a premium private community of designers who are actually charging what they are worth, feel free to check out my elite group. Go to wdc.com or click the link in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and now go and set prices that reflect your real value.